Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. I'm here with my favorite stormwater expert, Ben here from Public Works. I find it fascinating, and I think it's because I've had a chance to talk with you off air, and because we've had conversations about stormwater and trying to understand it a little bit better myself. It's so important, and there's a lot of reasons for it. But if you're going to just go out on a limb and say, what is storm water? What are we talking about?
Sure. So I guess I'll just start off and say, again, Stormwater Awareness Week, that's coming up here. It's August 5th through the 13th. And it's really all about bringing awareness to stormwater because, it's not something you think about every day. When we get these rain events, or I'll even say a melting snow event, any of that water that runs off of your property, runs off the streets, that's really stormwater. I think a lot of people think about stormwater maybe only from the flooding perspective, right? That's what you would notice. You've got flooded streets. That's what I think stormwater is to a lot of people. But there's more to it than just the quantity and the total amount of stormwater. It's also treating that stormwater, making sure that the water that's running off our developed areas is treated. So we want to look at reducing all the sediment that the water, when it's running off property, it's picking up dirt and other kind of debris. So we look at how do we treat that water, how do we get this water to a point where it's adequate to put back into the natural conveyance system. So our creeks, our lakes, Lake Wabeesa here, in particular in Fitchburg, that's where a lot of the water goes. So it's kind of twofold with we want to look at quantity, from the flooding perspective, but also that water quality perspective is extremely important.
Yeah, you and the team here spend a lot of time because there's a lot of development here. So you got a lot of time spending figuring out where's the stormwater going to go and keeping it safe. But we're going to take a deeper dive into talking a little bit more about where it's coming from and some of the awareness pieces that you're going to share with us here in just a minute. But ultimately, things that come off the street, if you were trying to again, bring some awareness to protecting our lake streams. And that's what we talk about between the leaves, between pet waste, fertilizer, you name it. That all goes down the drain.
Exactly, it does. It does. And, maybe some of those things seem harmless, like leaves. Oh, so some leaves are in the drain, a little bit of pet waste, but that those things are actually full of pollutants, phosphorus, nitrates, things that we really don't want in the stormwater and can be pretty detrimental to the ecosystem out there. For example, phosphorus. That's one of the main culprits that causes these big blue-green algae blooms that we see here on our lakes.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty at times, but a lot of work is being done, and part of this awareness week is looking at different ways of capturing that water, protecting that before it ever gets down the storm drain, and there's a lot of events that are associated with it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the awareness that's going to be brought forth this upcoming week.
Sure. Well, there's actually one event that's already underway. That is the Summer at the Storm Drains event. Which is a pretty cool event. There's quite a few stormwater murals in Dane County. There's a few in Fitchburg and, of course, in Madison and all the other surrounding communities. And the idea with this program or event is it's a scavenger hunt, really, to find these murals. I'll just say there is some help. If you go onto the Ripple Effects website, you can actually see a map of where these murals are. But you take a selfie with the mural. Be careful, take it from the sidewalk. Don't want people standing in the street.
We may or may not have talked about that off air. I was like, you better tell people, no, don't go on the street and start taking selfies, laying on the ground trying to get a picture, because these are going to be right at the storm drain.
Yep. So you take your selfie with the storm drain. You can submit that to summerstormdrain@cityofmadison.com. And basically for each selfie that you submit, you get entered into a raffle, and there's some really neat prizes I think they've got available. I know there's, I think, $1,000 worth of gift cards to some restaurants and local businesses. So definitely a fun activity to just kind of get outside and look at some of the great artwork. Honestly, a lot of these murals are really impressive. We work with some great artists that volunteer their time to paint these, and yeah, if you see one, they're really cool. They're really cool.
Yeah, we've got one by the Fitchburg Library.
Yes.
If you want to check one kind of locally here in Fitchburg, one of them. There's a hint. We gave you a free, that's like a bingo card free spot
that's
for you,
it.
right?
No more.
No more. No more. But yeah, and I think that, again, we're bringing awareness that you got to think about what's going down there and where it's going, because it's ultimately ending up in our waterways. And that's super important. What other events and awarenesses are they bringing that upcoming week?
Yeah, so starting next week on Monday, it goes Monday through Friday, there is a downspout garden kit sale. So a downspout garden kit, you could kind of think about it as a smaller rain garden. You know, for those that aren't familiar, a rain garden is just a depression that you would have somewhere on your property where you would allow some water to infiltrate. You'd typically have some native plants in there. And a downspout garden is just kind of a shrunk down version of that. So the idea is at your downspouts, you can plant this garden kit, and it will help basically infiltrate water from the downspouts. Right now the deal is you get 32 native plants for $30. So that's a really good deal. Native plants can be fairly expensive. So anyone that's interested in putting their own downspout rain garden in, this is a great opportunity. I think they look really nice. We get some wildflowers and some native grasses and stuff, and kind of beautifies the property a little bit, if you will.
They are cool. I mean, rain gardens kind of have become like popular and more understood, I think, now more than ever in the last several years. So I think cool to go with that. Also, capturing water, too, is another one.
Yes, so there's the rain barrel sale. This goes on at the same time next Monday through Friday. They've got some 50-gallon rain barrels for $74. Typically, they'd be $150, so pretty big discount on it. And with these rain barrels, it's kind of like the downspout garden, where it's maybe a small thing, but it can have a big impact if a lot of people put these rain barrels in. You can collect quite a bit of water.
Let's say this time, like this year, we've had drought-like conditions.
Absolutely.
And I was telling you that I purchased one of these. It collects a lot of water. First off, great deal on it. But when you're really talking about water, you know, not having enough water, like I've been able to save this and use it for my garden this year. Well, I've turned the hose on just a couple of times, which is pretty impressive when you think about how much not rain. That was a bad way to say that, but you get the point.
Exactly.
Not enough rain. That's a great way to capture it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I know that's really the idea, is you can save that water, and when we've got these spans where we don't have any rain, you don't even have to turn the water on. You can save some money, save some water, and just use that free water that fell off of your roof and water your plants with that. It's perfectly safe. It's a great way to reduce water use and save a couple bucks.
And they are covered, because you're like, well, if you're capturing water, like, you're going to have mosquitoes and stuff. And they basically, this water goes right in the barrel. They're set to prevent from sort of having that mosquito issue. So don't think of it as just like this big catch barrel that's wide open and you got standing water there. It's actually...
Yeah, they're nice barrels. They're, I think they look nice, and that's one, I think, detracts maybe some people from getting rain barrels, as they think of, just an ugly,
you think of those metal, or those big metal barrels,
exactly.
But it is not that, and you can beautify. You can put a mural on it. Just saying.
Well, that's a great
Ben
idea.
will come over and paint those for you. Call right now. No. Sorry,
I don't think anyone wants that.
Well, we can paint smiley faces.
There we go. We could do that.
Gosh. All right. What else is up for the week?
We've got a couple cool webinars. Tuesday, so August 8th, from 12 to 1. We've got a webinar on managing water where it falls. So we've got a couple great speakers from the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District and from the City of Superior. So they're going to be talking a little bit more about homeowner opportunities. Again, rain barrels, rain gardens, these downspout garden kits, and getting a little bit more into the science and why these things are actually beneficial, the kind of impact that they can have, and just some kind of best practices with these management devices.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people have water going into their basement because it comes off, then they don't funnel it out far enough or have water issues. Looking at some of these options, can save you in two ways. A, you're helping the environment, but B, you're helping yourself by eliminating some of those problems. Not saying it's going to work for everybody, but I like the idea. And then finally, anything else happening next week?
Yeah, so the last webinar is Thursday, again, noon to 1. This is about leaf-free streets, which I think we've talked about before, and a really important practice that I think is gaining some more steam here. But essentially, it's about, as the name implies, keeping leaves off the streets. The USGS actually did a study with the city of Madison, which is very cool that we're getting all this information so close to home here and learning all this. But what they found was leaf litter in the fall contributes a huge percentage of the total phosphorus that enters our waterways in urban environments. So they're going to be going in and talking a little bit more about the science behind that, what the USGS has found in their study. And the great thing about leaf-free streets is that it might be the easiest thing to do. When you're raking your yard, you just go out into the street a little bit, rake some back into the terrace. So it's got a huge impact to basically help the water quality in the area. So I'm looking forward to that webinar. I think that's going to be a really interesting one as well.
Now, everything that Ben just shared with us here is on our website as well. You can head to fitchburgwi.gov and go to Departments, Public Works, Stormwater, and the Stormwater page not only tells you about all the stuff you talked about, but actually has a lot of resources on different ideas for stormwater and helping out in different ways. So I urge you to check that out.
Yes, please do. Please do.
All right, Ben, thank you so much. Nice seeing you.
Thanks, Jeremy.